ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اعلموا فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. وبعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد. My brothers and sisters in Islam, every festive season or occasion that which occurs upon this earth always has an historical event that which takes place, due to which everyone celebrates that specific or that certain event. And we understand that the whole ummah in its entirety, of all different cultures and languages, that they come together in the name of Allah Azza wa Jal to celebrate this day, ul-Adha. And we understand that this day has a strong link and a historical link with our Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. I wish to understand, and I ask Allah to grant me the understanding, and I wish to help my brothers and sisters understand that why is this the case? What did Ibrahim alayhi salam do? How great was his submission and dedication? Why did Allah Azza wa Jal choose him? And one of the greatest things about the trials of Ibrahim alayhi salam is the fact that every trial that he went through befits our time and every nation that comes after him. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He granted this day as a day of graduation for Ibrahim alayhi salam, like a day of celebration. And the reason, major one behind it is, as Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in the Quran, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. That Allah Azza wa Jal, He trialed Ibrahim alayhi salam with His instructions, that which He gave him. فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. And the greatest thing Ibrahim alayhi salam he did, that he fulfilled every instruction that which came from Allah Azza wa Jal and submitted himself to it. And this is a big thing. And this is the reason why Allah Azza wa Jal has chosen this day. And there is a connection between this day and the day on which Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was successful in his passing of trials. One of the greatest things to understand with regards to Ibrahim alayhi salam is the fact that he stood for his belief, he stood for his principles, and he stood for his morals, and all of them for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. So he went through these challenges and he went through these tests. But these tests, what do they mean to us as individuals that live in this era today? We understand that even in today's time, that we are trialed and we are going through major problems on a social level, on a political level, economical levels, that the Muslim Ummah is going through, are driven through these trials and these difficulties every day, in and out. Even on our personal feelings and personal individual level, that we are going through problems and difficulties when it comes to our belief, as it is challenged and people are placing within inside it doubts and difficulties and placing upon it pressures so that we can move away from it. But this was a young man. And when we talk about Ibrahim alayhi salam, sometimes we do consider the fact that he was an old man, that we are talking about a person that was very wise and old. But this is not the case. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he took this challenge of defending his belief, defending his principle, defending the morals that Allah Azza wa Jal had given to him from a very young age. And we are today in universities. We go to our colleges and campuses, and we take from these individuals those in higher places in status, and we learn from them. But again, at the same time as we learn, we face challenges that are proposed by these individuals in these societies. And these challenges are against our belief and principle upon that which we stand. But what should we do? Should we give in to these challenges? Should we give in to these pressures? Should we give in to these social problems, political problems, that which the ummah is facing in today? And sometimes our individuals, our brothers and sisters, they hide in a crowd and they give in to these problems. But here we have, and we learn from the trials of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that even on a political level, where an individual by the name of Namrud, he challenges, and he's a tyrant of the time, and he challenges his nation, and he's upon that which is falsehood. But then Ibrahim alayhi salam, at a young age, he challenges this individual, and he says to him, Man Rabbuk? Namrud approaches this prophet, and he questions his belief, and he questions his principle. But today in our time, in our society, our era, our youth, our youngsters, our young blood, where do they stand when it comes to the defense of our religion? Where do they stand when it comes to the pressures that they are put under when they go into the universities and these social societies? So he's challenged by a person of a high political status. And he says, Man Rabbuk, who is your Lord? And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he challenges him with a logical answer, and he says to him, Rabbi alladhi yuhyi wa yumit. My Lord is the one who keeps alive individuals and he causes them death whenever he wants. But Namrud is a smart man. Politically, he's challenged again. There is rows of individuals and nations looking at Ibrahim alayhi salam and his answers. What is he going to say in defense of his Lord, of his deen, of his belief, of his moral? So what does he reply? And he says, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْتِي بِالشَّمْسِ مِنَ الْمَشْرِقِ فَأْتِ بِهَا مِنَ الْمَغْرِبِ. My Lord is the one who brings the sun from the east. You bring it from the west if you can do so. So what was his indication? Namrud challenges him and he says to him, I'll bring an individual, slaughter him, and I'll cause him to die. And I'll bring another individual, I'll let him go because I want to make him live, or I wish for him to live. He says, I also cause to die and I also leave people to live. And then he brings about this answer and he says, Allah brings the sun from the east, you bring it from the west if you can do so. He challenged him on a political level, also on a social level, where we find Ibrahim alayhi salam and his struggles. Upon a social level, when his society are engaged, indulged in matters of haram. And we are in a similar society where people may not be creating statues of such, but people worship their own selves and their own desires. And Allah calls them, do you not see those individuals who worship their own desires? So we are in an era that is challenging for us. That we have individuals that claim the fact that there is no God of any sort. And we have our youth that are placed in doubts. And I call upon the youth and the young blood that they take upon these challenges. And we call upon our elders, the fact that they understand these problems. The fact that, they go to the universities and they have these atheists corrupting their minds. They have these individuals calling them to haram. And our society is of that. Ibrahim alayhi salam enters into it and he carries his axe and he goes to these individuals. Do you hear the fact that did they hear your call? Did they see your actions? And these people don't believe him. So he takes his axe and he goes and takes down these idols and he places it upon the shoulder of the big one. And then the people come and they see and they say to the words, Man fa'ala hadha bi alihatina. Who is the individual who caused this damage, this destruction to our idols? It's a social problem that the people are indulged in an idea that doesn't make sense. But he challenges it. How does he do it? He causes all of this destruction and he places the axe upon the one that is big, and he says, why don't you ask this individual that's standing? He doesn't hear us, he doesn't see us. The contradiction of their own logic, the contradiction of their own belief. And at the same time, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he took this challenge. But we have these tendencies. Our youth have these problems. Our youth have these issues that when they go into these societies, they give in. They give up to these social pressures and these political pressures because they don't want to be in a state or in a situation where they have to explain themselves. But rather, some of our individuals amongst this ummah are individuals that are happy with saying, let's make alterations so that we could be befitting in a society, which means the fact that we give up our morals and principles just so we could become befitting. But rather not. This is not the way of the Muslims. And this wasn't the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Today we are celebrating his graduation, and the reason being because he stood upon principle. And this is what we are required to do. In this era, this time, this difficulty, the problems that we face of today, it's very important of the fact that we stand up to these problems. Rather, we don't give in to them. And we know the fact that the likes of the burqa ban that they have, the likes of the niqab ban that they have, that the likes of, alienating the Muslims and their beards, alienating the way they talk, alienating the way they go to the masajid. Why? And where are our individuals to take these challenges? Where are our youth to stand up to these problems? Where are those intellectual minds that study in the universities and these colleges? Where are the ones who indulge themselves in this knowledge so that they could stand up to these problems? We need those individuals. And this is a request that where are the likes of those Ibrahim alayhi salam that stood once as a young boy in that society, and he stood hard upon his moral and principle. And he challenged it. But know the fact that it doesn't come with ease. It's a problem. You will face challenges, you will face problems, you will face, economical problems, and you will see the fact that people will, boycott you to a certain extent. And the same went with Ibrahim alayhi salam, where he was boycotted. His father threw him out his house. He says, "La arjumannaka wahjurni maliya." I will throw stones at you and go away from here. So his own father, the one he went, Ya abati, Ya abati, Ya abati, oh my beloved father, listen to me, my beloved father, listen to me. So it means the fact that when we have principle, when we have moral, even if it goes against our own parents, even if it goes against our own selves, we make sure and we stand upon it regardless. And we be gentle and we pass on the message. But here, his father throws him out. It's a difficult challenge. It's not easy. But we require individuals to make that sacrifice, to stand up for the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. That there is no hiding in a corner where we try to accept and hide in the crowd and we think to ourselves, that's fine, it's not got anything to do with me for as long as I'm safe. It doesn't work like that. And we see the fact that Ibrahim alayhi salam also went through emotional pain, where we find that Ibrahim alayhi salam, he calls upon Allah Azza wa Jal, and this really struck to me when I recited this ayah, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Does Ibrahim alayhi salam not believe in Allah? Is he not solid on his principle? We just said he was. And he's a young boy, he's a youthful man. But he asks Allah, oh Allah, I want you. And Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ, and Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says, رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Oh Allah, show me how do you make something alive again from the dead. And for me, this was a striking moment, because I understand the fact that Ibrahim must have been going through some sort of emotional difficulty, that he asks Allah, oh Allah, show me for a surety the fact that you could raise something from the dead. And then Allah Azza wa Jal, he says something to him, قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. Do you not believe, O Ibrahim, the fact that I could raise something from the dead? قَالَ بَلَى. He goes, obviously, oh Allah, I do. Indeed, I do. لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي, or لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي. But oh Allah, rather I just want my heart to become settled. I want my heart to become tranquil. And this was again a difficult moment. Standing up for principle, wherever you be. And I'm talking to the youth here. In your universities, don't hide. In your colleges, don't hide. Don't don't accept a society that which goes against your own principle, that which you know it's the truth. You stand upon the truth like individuals of Ibrahim alayhi salam, regardless. And you will also go through physical pain. Where Ibrahim alayhi salam reached a stage and the people got fed up with him and his principle. But he's speaking the truth. And then people said, قَالُوا فَحَرِّقُوهُ. And the people said, burn this individual, throw him into the hellfire, throw him into the fire, وَانْصُرُوا آلِهَتَكُمْ, and give victory to your own ideology and what you stand for. And today is the same. We need those individuals to embrace that pain. Embrace that pain for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, and stand up to these norms that have become a normal thing within our society, which is not the norm for us. And we believe the fact that we have the truth and we have the haqq with us. We should stand with it. And we understand as Muslims the fact that these pressures and these problems that our youth that are going through, and these doubts that are placed in their minds, it needs to be rectified. You need to come to people. You come sit with the people of knowledge. You get rid of these problems. You get rid of these doubts, so that inshallah Allah could strengthen you. Engage in learning your deen. Engage in learning these arguments. Engage in trying to strengthen yourselves in the ground of Islam and the model of Islam. And this is very important. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he did not let go of the principle, La ilaha illallah. And this is the point of today, Tawheed. This is what we are celebrating. That there is no deity worthy of worship except from Allah. You are the only one worthy of worship. So we are upon that principle. And this is one thing he did not give. And he stood to that, and he stood close to it. One of the greatest things we understand from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam is reliance upon Allah Azza wa Jal. His tawakkul in Allah. When he gets thrown into the fire, his tawakkul in Allah. Hasbi Allah. Allah is enough for me. When he approaches this Namrud, he puts his reliance in Allah. And Allah continues to challenge, but rather Allah continues to trial him. Continues to trial him. He's a young age now. He's married now. He's got a child now. Okay, Ibrahim, go to the desert and leave your wife and your child in the middle of the desert and go back to Palestine. Test upon test upon test. How many of us give something up? And we understand that it might be difficult. But here Ibrahim alayhi salam leaves them knowing the fact that I place my trust in Allah. He knows there's no food there. He knows there's nothing to drink there. But he places his trust in Allah and walks away. And we also have the story of slaughtering of the child. You have to sacrifice. This is what we understand from this. Sacrifice. Standing up for your morals. Embracing what it takes. And Allah says, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ. And then when the child becomes a little taller and he's lovable, he talks to him, he engages with him, he conversates with him, he's engaging with him. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ. And when he becomes a little older, قَالَ يَا بُنَيْ. Then Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says to him, oh my son, إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ. Indeed, I see in my sleep as it is a revelation from me that I am slaughtering you. So he takes his child and he goes. And the child, look at the tarbiyah, look at the upbringing of this child. He says to his father, "If'al ma tu'mar." Do as you wish, O my father. Satajiduni insha'Allah min as-sabirin. You will find me from the individuals who are patient. So the whole point of this, going through the trials of Ibrahim alayhi salam, is to understand the fact that in our prophets and their stories, there are lessons to be learned. And for our youth to understand the fact that they take from these lessons, and you understand the fact that on even political levels, we had our prophets and our Anbiya and the likes of Ibrahim alayhi salam challenging the world. And we had the likes of, Ibrahim alayhi salam challenging the social status of the people at the time. And he gave up and he endured. And my message and conclusion to the people is that the answer is not to give in or to accept. The answer is to stand up upon a principle and to place down your argument and to carry on defeating a non-normal or a principle that which is not upon a norm, to challenge that. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jal, by His grace and by His mercy, that He grants us the understanding to acknowledge and to understand how we should tackle our problems and the challenges of today, especially with the youth. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to accept from us this day of Eid. And one of the greatest things I want to request my brothers is the fact that we come on Salat al-Eid, and we've come in huge numbers. To the extent that the masjid can't bear the numbers, we have to do 3 salawat. But we need to make a change. There needs to be a change. I know we hear it today, we go out and we engage in something busy and we forget about it. There needs to be an inner change. Where is that willpower within inside the people, within inside the youth, to bring that change within inside themselves? We need to engage in our masajid. We need to engage our sisters also within inside the masajid. We need to engage our families inside the masajid. Make it a hub. And we make sure of the fact that we carry on standing and trying to make sure that we use our masajid for the purpose that they are built for, and that is ibadah. And sometimes it's saddening to see the fact that we see the brothers only at Salat al-Eid or Salat al-Jum'ah or Taraweeh and so forth. But this should not be the case. We want regulars, and we want this change. We want the youth, we want the young to become intellectually forthcoming with their knowledge so that they could take up the challenges of today. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معاصيك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا، ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وقواتنا أبدا ما أبقيتنا. اللهم تقبل منا صيامنا، اللهم اجعلنا من التوابين واجعلنا من المتطهرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم أصلح شبابنا وشباب المسلمين، اللهم أصلح نساءنا ونساء المسلمين، اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في كل مكان. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصل الله وسلم على نبينا وحبيبنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد. Madrasa Al-Faruq or Al-Faruq Masjid, myself, all the staff, first and foremost I want to extend my gratitude, my thanks to all the staff, especially in this masjid, and the previous staff, the sisters as well as the brothers. That may Allah Azza wa Jal bless in your lives, and may Allah Azza wa Jal increase in your iman and strengthen you. They have strived and they have worked hard for this masjid, and my dua continues for them, and I wish for them a happy Eid and the rest of the community. Wa sallallahu wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad.